Howdy folks, it's Harrison with Mainely Acres Farms. Thank you for tuning in with us today. Let's see what we have going on the craft table this afternoon. Howdy folks, thank you for joining me on another episode of the Crafting Table. Today we're going to be going over leather restoration and repair. Lately here on the homestead I've been getting a lot of projects coming in that are repairing bits of leather or restoring old leather that is kind of dry, cracked, or torn. So I've worked on so far a pair of farrier chaps, a couple belts that didn't need restoration, they just needed to be mended, a couple of wallets that needed restoration and repair, and now I'm working on a watch strap that needs restoration and repair. So I'll kind of go over what I'm going to do for this watch strap and kind of talk about my restoration process that I go through to restore these back to good. So this is the watch strap that I'm working on. A friend of ours dropped this off, and as you guys can see, the leather has torn right here where the buckle connects. This piece of leather folds over and holds the buckle, and this is where it makes contact with the wrist, and from years of sweating, washing your hands and getting soap on this and whatnot, it has caused the leather to dry crack. So the first thing I like to do on projects that need to be restored is go ahead and plump them up and put the oil right to them before I do anything. And that's before I wash the leather and before I even try to mend or sew any torn pieces on the project. And what I use is this neat's foot oil right here. And this isn't a paid commercial. I don't get paid for any of these oils or anything that I use in my restoration. I just want to give you guys some good information that you can use if you're working on some of these projects. I'll pour a bit of that in a baby food jar, and I like to apply the oil with a paintbrush. Now for smaller projects, a small little paintbrush like this works just fine, but for those heavy duty ones, we got the old cheap paintbrush here that we use. And what I like to do is start on the unfinished side of the leather and apply a lot of oil to there. And basically what you're going to do is paint the oil on, and you're going to keep doing that until it looks wet. Now you guys will notice if your leather is really dry, that when you put the oil on there, it'll just soak it right up. So just go ahead and keep applying the oil on there until it looks wet, and then go over to the finished side and apply one coat of oil on that. Then what I like to do is go ahead and throw these into our oven. So I'll preheat the oven to 170 degrees, which is the lowest setting our oven will go to, and I will throw them in there for a half hour. And after they're done, I'll turn the oven off. I'll go ahead and crack the door just a little bit, just to allow the leather to cool down. And what I like to do is allow it to cool down slowly. And what you're doing by this heating process and allowing it to cool down slowly is you're helping the leather, the pores in the leather open up, and it's also heating up the oil to allow it to penetrate the leather better. And from that point, what you're going to do is you're going to check your project. So if you pull out your leather strap and it looks like it's still wet, then you're good to go. Just go ahead and take a cloth, wipe off the excess oil, and get to the repairing or the washing, whatever process you're going to next. But if you pull it out and it still looks a bit dry, like this one really didn't come out looking real wet, you're going to go ahead and repeat the oiling process and throw it back into the oven for a half hour again. Let it slowly cool down and wipe off the excess. After you've done that, if your project needs any washing or there's like some grit or whatnot you want to get off, at that point I'll use warm water, no soap, warm water and a washcloth, and after I wash it off, I'll dry it, pat it dry, and I'll put a light coating of oil on there. I will not throw it back in the oven, just put a light coating of oil on there and you're good to go. So on this project here, the way I'm going to fix these two little things here is go ahead and put a complete patch over this whole strap. And what that's going to do is it's going to reinforce the complete strap, make it that much sturdier with another piece of leather sewn to it. And it's also going to cover up these pieces of metal here, which he has some irritation when the metal is on his skin, so that's going to help that as well. And I've already spoke with him and asked him what side of the leather he wanted facing out on here, which is going to be up against his skin, and we went ahead and went with the suede side of the leather, or the unfinished side of the leather. So I'm just going to go ahead and patch that out. And what I'm talking about by patching out the whole thing is taking like a piece of scrap leather here. This is the piece of scrap leather I'm going to use. It's the same color and same style of leather. And what I'm going to do is secure the strap to this piece of scrap here. And how I secure that is by using some of this double-sided leather sticky tape that you can get from Tandy. And I'll go ahead and cut out some pieces, put those pieces to the back side of the strap, and then secure that onto the piece of scrap leather on the back. And now before I cut out the excess leather here and punch out the holes to make it correspond with the strap, I'll go ahead and run it through the sewing machine and completely sew the patch together. Then I will come back over and cut all the excess off, punch all the holes in that. So that's all that I'm going to do to repair this one. I'm also going to make a new keeper to go on it. You know how belts have the keeper, so does this, to kind of hold the excess that when you tighten the strap. So I'm going to make a new one because this one was really dry cracked, and the crack on the side pretty much penetrated through most of the leather. So although I was able to get this to plump back up and it's now flexible and it doesn't want to break, I'm going to go ahead and make a new one for him. So that's going to be it to repair this. When I have the patch on there and I punch out all the holes and everything, it's going to look just like it did before, except on these little parts here, you're going to see a little crack, but it's going to be secured with a new piece of leather on the back side of it. And that's the best way to restore this project and have it looking original as possible. If I was going to try to sew just these two pieces by sewing back and forth, it wouldn't hold up for very long. And if I were to just put a patch between here and here, it would off balance the whole strap, and it would be bulky down at one end, and I just don't think that that would look pleasing. So I think the best way to go about repairing a project like this is to go ahead and put a full patch on it, sew it down, cut it out, and you're good to go. So hopefully that has given you guys some ideas, especially on how to treat the older leather or the stuff that's really cracking. It's really important to put that oil to it and allow it to sit in a warm oven and allow that oil to penetrate, so that way when you go to work with it, it doesn't break or crack, because that would just be horrible. You know, when a lot of these projects that you work on have a lot of sentimental value to the people that are allowing you basically to work on these, and so you definitely want to take the best care you can with these. Alrighty, that's all I have for you guys today. Those are some of the things that I use in restoring my leather goods to get them back to good. One other thing that I am going to do to this before I'm all said and done is to go ahead and coat it in some mink oil as well. And the reason why I do that is because this is like a waterproofing. A lot of you guys, if you go hiking, you'll put this on your boots. I always put this on our boots come winter time, so it will keep all the ice and snow out. The reason why I'm going to do that is because it will help also beat off the sweat and hopefully allow the oil that's in here to stay in here and allow the leather to stay plump and healthy, and kind of give it a protecting coating, if you will. So that's it, guys. Alrighty, hopefully you guys got some new tips and crafting ideas. As always, like, subscribe, and if you thought this video was helpful, please share it across your social media. Take care and spend time with that family.